pop video director Kevin Godley.
Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against civilization. In fact, I was rather proud of you at first. You were full of great ideas, and you were always my cleverest. Trouble is, the more you began to think for yourself, the less you thought about me. And gradually, somehow, we drifted apart until 1 millennium. You decided to move out and up and across and round, and eventually you've completely redecorated. I don't know, you and your do-it-yourself. You've ripped out anything natural and replaced it with cities and chimneys and concrete and the mess, the fumes and the stink. You make me sick.
Well, that, I think, is one of the most extraordinary animation sequences I've ever seen. Kevin Godley, of course, former 10cc. Now, you make lots and lots of pop videos. Is that the first time you've ever done anything like that?
It's the first time I've applied my talents, in inverted commas, to selling something that I believe in, or to expressing something that I really believe in. It's always been music or commercials. This is applying that technique to something that I think is worth saying. Right.
Now, I'm going to talk to Bryn Jones in a minute, who's the chairman of ARK, and to you both generally, but sticking to the video just for a minute, did you come up with that concept? I mean, when you're thinking, right, presumably, how do we get this idea across?
Yeah.
Did you come up with the concept of the mother world, if you like?
Yes, it was always pretty obvious to me that that was the way to go. Who better to tell us how we're screwing up the world than the world herself?
Yeah, and you've got Dawn French, which is...
Yes.
Actually, I have to say, it even looks a little bit like Dawn French, I think. I mean, which is no disrespect to Dawn, she's very pretty, but it does look a little bit like her, the face that comes up. Was it meant to?
Well, she's actually inside it.
Ah, I see.
It's prosthetic makeup, she's actually inside it revolving, so it is her.
Yeah.
It's based on her face.
Yeah, right. I'll bring you in now, Bryn Jones. One thing that worries me slightly about it is I found it a bit didactic. I mean, it's fascinating to watch, but she does get quite cross, and it's very much a slap across the wrist. Look what you're doing. Do you think that's the right way to get...
Well, we don't know. It's the first time we've ever done it, Judy, so we're really trying to use new techniques. But you were talking earlier about parent power. Well, in a sense, we're talking about parent power too. This is Mother Earth talking to us and telling us what the terrible things we're doing. And there'll be a lot of mothers with children watching this. And the message that we're putting across is really very simple. If we don't do something about the Earth now, there'll be nothing for our children. We're destroying it at a most enormous speed, and all of us have got to get off our backsides and do something. Well, we're appealing to people. That's what's new about ARK. We're saying to them, don't send us money. Don't send us money and ask us to save the world on your behalf. You must get on and do something yourselves. So in a sense, perhaps we are. Yeah. We're not just lecturing, but asking them to come and join us too.
Well, let's have a look at what some people that we asked about the ozone layer specifically. See what they thought. They did seem to know what the ozone layer was.
That's right.
So we are already pretty well educated. And what I want, we've got Greenpeace. Indeed, you're the former director of Greenpeace. We've got Greenpeace. We've got Friends of the Earth. Why do we need ARK?
Well, as far as I know, Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth have probably in total, correct me if I'm wrong, probably about 200,000 members. And there are 56 million people in this country. That is why we need a new organisation that is going to hit a mass of people. It's going to hit a lot of people.
Yes, you're trying to be a lot more populist.
Yes.
I'm very interested in these offshoots, like an ARK food division and an ARK products.
Household products, soap, powder, washing up liquid. And that, Judy, is really for the very simple reason we want to give a positive message, because we can do something. If we all get involved now, there are 56 million people in this country, as Kevin said, and most of them are not involved in this. If we show them, look, you can do simple things like changing the sort of washing up liquid you use in the home, you can help to protect the water. You can help to protect your own children's health by giving them healthy fast foods, the kind we're going to produce, not the junk food.
You're going to have fast food chains across, like McDonald's or something.
You can't advise people what to do without giving them an alternative, and that's what we intend to do.
But I read somewhere that you turned vegetarian because of your involvement with ARK. Is that true?
No, it's not. That's not true at all. I stopped eating meat because of an experience I had when I was about 2 years ago, when I saved a duck's life, or a duckling's life, and then went out that same evening. I had duck for dinner, and something clicked.
Yes.
So it's pretty obvious to me that I should stop eating meat, but because of that I got involved in ARK.
But Therefore, does everyone who gets involved in ARK have to be a vegetarian?
Oh, no,
Certainly
not
not.
at all. I'm not a vegetarian. But what we are saying is that if each of us eats a little less meat, one fewer hamburger every week, then we're going to help to save the tropical forest, because they're being destroyed to graze cattle for the fast food industries in Western Europe and North America. So you see, each of us can make a small contribution towards saving the earth. And if each of us does a little, then we can do a great deal altogether. And that's what ARK is about.
I would just take issue with one thing that you say in your manifesto, which is that, you know, as a world, the world is getting sicker because what we're doing to it, which I would obviously agree with. But you say the industrialised nations, we that live in them, are also getting sicker.
Yes.
But actually, the lifespan, the average lifespan of all of us is rising every decade. So
it hasn't risen very greatly in the last 20 or 30 years, because it's roughly stood still. But the general health of people in this country and in Europe and in North America at the same time is declining. 1 in 10 children in this country now suffers from asthma. The levels of chronic illness throughout all the people, all age groups, are increasing fast, and they're at very high levels.
And you relate that to the environment?
We do indeed. We say if we're breathing poisoned air, drinking poisoned water, eating food that's contaminated with pesticides and nitrates, then our health is bound to suffer, and it has begun to suffer. We're beginning to measure it.
We've actually got the address of the ARK Trust, which we'll put up for you now in case you're all sitting there with a pen and pencil. It's the ARK Trust, 500 Harrow Road, London, W9. The telephone number is 01968 6780. Sorry that it was not quite as clear as it should have been. Perhaps we'll give you the address a little bit later in the programme. Well, I do wish you the best of luck. I mean, the video certainly deserves enormous success.
Thank you. It's almost just one more point. It's very simple. It's almost as if people have to make a decision. They have to decide either to be part of the disease or part of the cure.
Yeah.
And we want millions of people